Well, here, let me pull this up. I think you're in great shape with this. The red is only the technical stuff. Like there's very little story stuff. It's almost all just punctuation and wording and a few
Perfect, perfect.
suggestions. Um, I don't believe, let me just take a gander for this. I don't believe that there's any substantial, like I think you need to do any like major revamping at all. So you mind if I just whip through it?
Sure, let's just whip through it.
Take or leave almost all of the stuff that I'm showing. There's only a few things I think are probably required, but other than that, it's great. The duo was sitting. This is such a little thing. It's so minor. Duo technically is what you call it implies an official or an official team of a kind. And I don't know if you just meant two. The
Yeah.
two of them are sitting. THX1138. I love that you're calling that, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be a problem. Um, for two reasons. Number one, it'd be like saying Research Center R2D2. It doesn't. I mean, THX 113. It isn't as popular as Star Wars, obviously, but within the cult community, legally you might be not be able to do it. But it also suggests that it's not just homage. It's so well known, I think, within a certain group of people that it might be too on the nose. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the problem
Um,
is I've already mentioned it a couple times so far.
okay, this could be problematic. Well, go for it. And if you get sued, it'll be a learning experience.
A nightmarish surveillance state of machine-enhanced paranoia avoided. Yeah, I guess the reference doesn't really quite work out here.
Yeah, either way, I mean, I love it, but I think
Sad
you
thing is,
might.
I wasn't trying to make a reference. I smashed my keyboard, and that's what came out.
Come on, really?
Yes.
It came out with George Lucas's first movie.
Yes.
Bizarre. Very cool though. One little thing throughout, there's a few places where there's a again the issue of sort of repetition of a word within a short distance. So and you there's so these are so easy to fix if you choose to. Hey, you're the one who didn't bring a coat. I'm freezing here because you're wearing it. Not you're the one who didn't bring a coat. I'm freezing here because you're wearing my coat.
Ah.
Um, hey, next one suggestion here, and I know I made the suggestion previously. I think with something Julia said in the previous chapter. Usually, as a general rule, punctuation rules would say, "Hey, sir." Charlie the Cowardly Werewolf asked Julius as they pulled up to the research station. I thought we were going after the bugs. What are we doing here? And my suggestion would be rearrange that for two reasons. Number one, it's technically more correct in prose fiction. Number two, the general rule too with writing is you want as whenever it's possible, you want the most important part of the sentence to be at the end. And the most important thing is what are we doing here? Right. So you would end what Charlie's saying on a what are we doing here? Just a little structure rearrangement, not absolutely required, but it's this is one of those giveaways that suggests new writer versus sort of seasoned writer to anybody who's paying attention and maybe wants to pick you up because you're awesome. Um, our job isn't to hunt insects. Our job is to retrieve the information from the center. Procedurally, this felt a little bit off, so now I'm just being picky about the mission. Our job was to retrieve the information from the research center, kill what attacked the base, and rescue any personnel. If I was to send, if I was to send this group to a thing like this, I mean, even when they sent, even as they were finding xenomorphs in Alien, which is interesting, you mentioned it later. Uh, kill. We don't even know what it is yet. So, and if I'm Julius, even if I was given the assignment to kill, I'd be like, we're not even 100% sure what we're going to find there. So it felt like discover and kill if necessary, maybe. It just felt it felt very abrupt. Like just like later he says, we came here to restore the computer files and torch and burn literally everything else. And I'm like, what? Well, you're going to just torch? Like you have no idea yet what you may find there. It can't possibly be the case that you're supposed to destroy everything except the computer files, which is the way it reads. So it might be more advantageous to just sort of describe. It's just a matter of procedure, and totally not trying to write it for you. But it might feel more real if we're not just going to go kill and destroy. We're going to go find out what the fuck happened, and then we'll make decisions. We've been given permission to do that if we need to. I guess is that kind of thing. If you choose to go that way. Waste your time with the bugs. This is so good, man. Like I absolutely the my favorite part of this whole thing, and I know it's sort of echoing stuff we've read in the past, is the manner in which Julius sort of finds a clue and says, finds another clue and starts putting them together and going, oh, and he comes to the conclusion. Like I loved the detective sort of investigative aspect of this chapter.
Mhm.
It really, really worked for me. Um,
Yeah, I realized this actually, in hindsight, this actually is probably a really bad like volume one thing.
mhm.
Because like this is more like Sherlock Holmes, but with like ghosts and shit.
Absolutely, yeah. But I love that about it. And the other thing, by the way, that I loved about this is I love how you've matured your sort of your writing when it comes to like how do I do the expository bits? Because you need those. Yours is the kind of story where you can't help but need the occasional info dump. And initially, when we were working the story way back, quite understandably, you would deliver a fairly substantial volume of information to the reader where it might have felt a bit overwhelming. The way you've paced it in this one, the way you have him explain it, like when he explains portals with spaghetti, and then my favorite part is Ramona's response to that. Yeah, like I understood maybe half of that, made me laugh out loud. So like the way he's walking through this sort of investigation, I felt like I wasn't overwhelmed with the amount of clues he was picking up. They made sense. You weren't overwhelming me with too much information. Ramona's and the other team's responses were spot on. Your ability to kind of ping pong back and forth and know when, okay, need to leave the explanation, give an honest human reaction to what they're hearing, back to the explanation. Your pacing is like super evolved in this chapter, in my opinion. Um, Loved the alien reference. I'm being picky here if you want to do it, but it's sort of like there's there's a couple of points in here where Ramona was like, "What? Aliens are real? And what? You mean hell's real?" I like that. The only problem is that it's one of those things where it's sort of like your slip is showing when it's sort of like, "Hi, we brought her on this thing, and she knows literally nothing about it." Like it's sort of I was okay with it before, but I'm like,
Uh-huh.
oh, like even in the interim, they're not telling her anything. Like she's so clueless, she doesn't know aliens are real yet. So it's I know it's you're sort of in a tough position because she is learning so much as she goes. Um,
Mhm.
but it felt like to me it might even be funnier. And I don't know, this is just me. Holy shit, what were you guys expecting up here? Like xenomorphs? Now I know why you went with alien is because you want to have this alien bit next.
I'll just switch to xenomorphs.
It might be better because it just put a little too much of a spotlight on the idea that she is really so clueless. Like I have to believe they're filling her in when we're not reading at least a little bit. But again, that's totally up to you, Hayden. I don't want to overly editorialize your writing. Um, Love all of this. This is tight. This stuff is cool. Like the way you've just laid it all out. Um, and just the way this
By the
all
way,
kind of
that's all real stuff.
is it
Except,
really? Yeah.
yep. I don't remember. Uh, yeah, that like the top one is an actual real life chemical which will do what the lurkers can do. It's,
I
a,
love that.
it's an actual neurotoxin that will paralyze you.
And I loved it. Like I loved it when he goes shellfish, you know. What fish? This contains, your explanation too is how many what is it? Saxitoxin, is that how you
I have
pronounce
no
it?
fucking clue. I just looked up. I just looked up like neurotoxin, like swampy areas.
Mm-hmm. No, I love it.
Yeah, lurkers like fit the same niches like Spinosauruses or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, actually no, they fit that exact same niche.
Mm-hmm. I think rather than failed this now I'm just getting super picky with the language. I feel like and tried to imagine failed to imagine sounds definitive before the case. So, but I love this is one of my favorite lines actually. This whole thing that you have here is what I mean by just seeing as working with you for as long as we have together. This was perfect. Julie scratched his head as he tried or failed to imagine the creature that could produce that toxin and would live not only this far north but this far inland. And I'm like, that's all the explanation I need. And you drop it and you move on. And it makes sense. Like he's like, wait a minute. And even though I don't yet know what he's talking about, what he's saying is clearly it makes no sense that I should find this here. And yet it is something that we're familiar with. It's like shellfish? Like, what is this about? Like, did the creature that attacked them eat shellfish? Is it part shellfish? Like it's a cool sort of question to leave in my head. I really, really liked it. And then you get this case number where it's like, huh? So it's something they can't identify. I'm assuming that's what that means.
Yeah, I didn't really have anything that could. Yeah,
Oh, okay. I'm skipping some of this stuff because I think we don't need to necessarily go through all of the,
Hmm.
spelling and punctuation stuff. You can do what you want with this shit twice and then again down here. And at first it was like, I like how he says, well, shit, nobody touched the green shit. I liked it, and it also felt clunky. Do whatever you want with that. Um, this thing here felt like what is this? Lambert and
It's
Escos. Is that the name of two writers? Is that what that's supposed to be?
no, it's the name of the book.
Oh, okay. Is it an actual book?
No, it's a made up book that only exists in the world.
Oh, okay. Are we ever going to hear about it again?
Probably. It's like it's the standard default book they'll go to every time they don't know what the hell they're dealing with.
Because I was sort of like, okay, cool. He really wished he had bought Lambert. What I thought he was saying, he really wished he'd brought these two people with him, to help with that. And they says, but that book, and I'm like, what book? Oh, it took me a couple of read throughs again to realize that Lambert and however you pronounce that was the
Estel.
book. Yeah. So it might. I thought maybe that a cool title, I mean, Harry Potter would do that both ways. It would sometimes give the name of a book and sometimes give the author. I just wasn't. I stumbled on that a little bit.
Hmm.
Feedback. Do what you want with it there. Um, yeah, this is. We've already talked about this. This torching everything. We leave nothing behind. No computer files. No paper trails. But they're taking the computer files, right? Is that what?
Yeah,
Okay.
like they're leaving nothing behind.
Okay. Do they? I feel like at least Ramona, like, and I like that you got Ramona looked like she wanted to protest, but I felt like she should. There's sometimes when something that a character does in a story doesn't make at first blush inherent sense, and sometimes you need another character to, if you're doing that intentionally, it almost makes sense to have another character say what the reader's thinking. Because my first thought was that does procedurally doesn't. Why would they do that? At least give us an explanation why. At first, I thought because it's covered in the slime that could be toxic, or we don't want anybody else to find this. Just something that explains why they would come here and destroy everything. Because I can't think of any sort of He's clearly in the middle of an investigation of a kind. They're not here simply to torch and burn. He's investigating. Most investigators I do know in real life would never, even if they had orders to, want to categorically destroy it all. There's got to be. Is there nothing like? Is there nothing of value in here? So I wasn't. It
Hmm.
seemed like an odd order to get from the board too. Like, we don't know what's there. We just want you to go and destroy everything. At least give us a reason. So maybe. And Ramona could ask it. She goes, "What? Destroy everything?" Yes, destroy everything, and then explain why. Do whatever you want there. Um, a moment later, Dick and Julius were alone as the two teams of 10 and one team of 9 left. I'm assuming you're mentioning the number because you want us to have an idea of how many people are there
Yeah.
when shit goes down. I might include that up when he's giving the orders. Says, you 10 do this and you 9 do that. It felt weird to get finally just be
Okay.
getting that information as they're separating. Food for thought. But I do like knowing that, and it's great. We're retrieving the nuke in the basement. I love that ending. At first, I was like, "Oh, don't tell me it's a nuke. Say we're retrieving something special down in the basement. Give us a good hook." But that is a great hook. We're retrieving the nuke in the basement. Like, a nuke in the basement. So that was really cool. Arctic is with a C, Arctic with a
Hmm.
capital A at the front. Same thing with scanners, just gear if or whatever else, or if for one of them or something, just to break up that many mentions of scanners. This is awesome, 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 awesome. So good. Um, Pretty sure I'm on one of those lists. I thought, oh, that was a great ending. And then unfortunately, Dick was pretty sure that wasn't a joke. And I'm like, don't
Okay.
say that. Like, yeah, I would cut that because it's already sort of on that. Sorry, I didn't mean that it sounded like an attack, but I love
That's
this.
fine.
This whole bit is so good. I love this. I don't actually know what any of that means, sir. Fuck. It means these morons were attempting to hack into the portal network. And I'm like, nice shifting of gears. Now we're going into sort of explaining that part of it a little better. Love this, as I said, the whole spaghetti thing. Because I was sort of following it and I was sort of like, I think I know what he's talking about. And then she completely echoed my thought. That's an example of what I mean. She is me when she does that. It's so good. Um, Suggestions here. You want to do whatever you want with that. Nothing major. Um, we've already talked about the mission. Oh, I was gonna ask about Charlie. Charlie just seems like tits on a bull, this guy. Is he ever going to be like any use of any kind except as because he's
Nope.
scared? No, he's just like this all the time.
Nope. I'm just
Okay,
gonna have him be the butt of the joke.
gotcha. Is he going to get killed at some point? I hope, or is he
Nope.
one of the
I'm
few
just gonna keep him
survivors?
around, and he's just gonna be a giant pain in the ass.
Okay, yeah, I think my suggestion might be to give him something or like something more that because if he's just by the third or fourth time he's a pain in the ass, people are just going to start reading through his scenes. They're not even going to read him. I think they're going to go, okay, another Charlie's being a dick again. He's always a dick. Um, might be nice just to give us a shock one time where like finally he's we think he's just completely useless. We want to kill this guy every time I read of him. I want to destroy him, and then suddenly at some point he does something. You're like, really? This guy? Oh my god! He's like that one shitty hockey player that should be sent down to the minors because he's so bad, and then he scores the game-winning goal. And I'm like, so I don't know if that's interesting to you, but Charlie just being a useless tit over and over again and not having any more range or dimension than that might wear your reader out a little bit.
Mm.
Um, so your ending, I just wanted to get a little clarity on here. There's a reason this can't be true. I just can't think of it. It feels like it's so close to that's a great final line, by the way. Um, and oh, hang on. This is another one here that I didn't hear. Reason reason. It felt a little weird to say he failed to come up with a reason why that wasn't the case. And then he says, there's a reason that can't be true. I just can't think of it. Sort of like we know because the line before literally just told us that. So my thought, Julius, my suggestion would be Julius felt his stomach drop, period. There's a reason this can't be true. I just can't think of it. Just so you're not saying the same thing
Okay.
twice. Um, and I thought maybe there's might be something else to add to it, like they're looking at their watch, or there's something like sound or something like that. Feels like there might be value in just adding a little more to it to lead us into the next chapter. But even if you decide not to do that, I love this line. This is just a really great line. It's like, and it's so perfect because Julius has clearly been navigating through all these scenes and clearly putting the clues together. Like he really, really shines as the investigative part of him. Like his stock went up big time for me in this chapter. I really like Julius. I love the way you refined his character in relationship to Ramona in the previous chapter, where we see a softer side of Julius, but he's still Julius. And here, like, he's all pro. Last chapter and this chapter, I'm like fully on board with Julius. So it's so great that the chapter ends after him putting all of these clues together like a master Sherlock and then hitting a clue he doesn't understand. He's like, there's a reason this can't be true. I just can't think of it. And so he's stumped. Like we're seeing him stumped. If that, sorry, am I reading that right? Are we seeing him stumped here?
Yeah, we're seeing him stumped. Okay.
Yeah. I just love the walkthrough of this chapter, man. Like it's gold. And I think that you could make a very few editorial changes or whatever you want to do here. And this thing's almost ready to go.
Okay. So,
Very little work needed on
yeah,
it.
I don't think I'm gonna bring it back to you then. Yeah, based on what you're
No,
saying.
yeah,
Just
no,
minor changes, minor things.
full steam ahead. That's the only chapter I was able
Fair
to get
enough.
through
Chapter
this week.
15 is nowhere close to done.
Okay. No,
It,
but bravo again. That's like 2 or 3 weeks of solid writing. Great work.
okay, perfect. Well, that's
I'll
good.
send you the notes. Toot sweet.
Yeah.
Any questions or thoughts for me, or is that good?
No, not really. Nope. Yeah, nothing more to talk about other than I think I did see The Way of Water and the new D&D movie. Not sure if I mentioned that last time.
Oh, we talked about it last week. Yeah, I liked it too. I liked both of those, and
Yeah,
D&D was so surprisingly good to me.
I
I loved
thought
it.
D&D was gonna flop. I'm amazed.
Yeah, I did too.